Our great students, please remain standing for the invocation by Reverend Ted Kennedy.
Before I say the prayer, I've been asked to take a moment of silence for two individuals, for Colonel Robert Anderson, who was nominated to be inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight, and also another friend of the Hall of Fame, Francisco Chavez Carmona. So let's have a moment of silence in their memory. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we are thankful that we have the privilege of coming to you in prayer, and that we have the promise that you do hear us when we pray. We ask that tonight you would bless this celebration, the organization that has put this forth, bless its purposes, and in service to this community, the Nogales Hall of Fame. We ask that you bless each one who's here, and especially those who are to be honored tonight as inductees into the Nogales Hall of Fame. And we pray that what we do tonight, here, this evening, will be pleasing in your sight. In your name we pray, amen.
You're going to hear a few words from, is this on? All of a sudden. From Boni Carmona. She is the daughter of Francisco Chavez Carmona. She wants to share a few words with you.
Good evening, Hall of Fame committee, inductees, family, and friends. My name is Iván Carmona, and I am the oldest daughter to Chavez and Machi Carmona. On behalf of our family, I would like to thank the Nogales community for all your visits while my dad was in the hospital and all of your continued prayers. When my dad was admitted into the hospital on October 17, 2011, there was never a doubt that he was going to come home. Obviously, there were other plans for him. While my dad was in the hospital, he never lost his sense of humor. I remember the lung doctors coming and telling him, "Mr. Carmona, I'm worried about you." And my dad just looked at her and said, "I'm worried about you because you can't find out what's wrong with me." My dad was most proud of his family, his Yankees, and his Nogales roots. Thank you again for honoring him tonight.
Okay, we're going to just continue with our dinner and be sure to look at the fabulous dessert display before it's all gone, and also the pictures of the inductees. Go on. I'm going to start here again on behalf of myself, Alexa Ramirez, introduce our Vice President, Dr. Arnoldo Montiel. There. Our Secretary, Irene Molera. Our Treasurer, Jerry Smith. Our Assistant Treasurer, Carla Soto. And member Mark Valenzuela, Alfredo Velazquez, Javier Barajas, Kathy Scott, Steve Zimmerman, Irma Bachiller, Dina Sanchez, and Fernando Parra. The only member not attending, where is it? Oh, William. And William Wisdom. And the only member not here tonight is J.B. Manson. He had another previous engagement in California, I understand. So this is the crew. You're welcome to join us. You're welcome to assist us anytime, anytime. Thank you. Okay, yes. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you continue to be here every year. We need you. We need to see you. Obviously, this is all for our young students that want to continue secondary education. So, at this moment, obviously, you've heard the buzz around the community about the play for the life and times of Raul Castro. It will be presented tomorrow at the James Clark Auditorium at 2:30. It starts sharp at 2:30, so be there early. Tickets are going to be sold there at the door. They're $5 per person. Children under 10 are free. We are honored, actually, that we have the cast of that play here at our dinner. And I'd like to introduce Mr. James Garcia. It's an original play by James Garcia. New Carpa Theaters is presenting that. He has his cast here, and actually, right now I'm going to turn it over to him because they're going to give us a 2-minute rendition of tomorrow's play. Señor Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Gracias.
Turn it right over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to first, before I do, what I'm going to do is actually the opening monologue of the play. This is a 2-hour play, full length, with intermission that is based on the life and times of Raul H. Castro, who, of course, you know because he lives here and he's a fixture and he's an institution, and there's been a book written about him now. And we're going to be doing that tomorrow at 2:30 in the theater here just next door. So I want to thank, first of all, the Nogales High School Hall of Fame and all of the local community leaders, particularly Marcelino Varona and Alexi Ramirez, for inviting us here, bringing us to town to do this show. This is actually a show that we have done around the state now. We opened it in Flagstaff. We did 2 performances. We did a weekend in Phoenix. We're doing the show here, and then we're actually in the throes of trying to make arrangements to do the show in Tucson as well. So if you like the show, if you come to the show, please recommend it because we'll be doing performances. And to find out about the show, all you have to do is Google Raul H. Castro Play, New Carpa Theater, and you will find a lot of information because there's been several stories written about it. So the piece that I'm going to do right now is, like she said, an excerpt from the play. It is the opening of the play. The play spans about 60 to 65 years of the governor's life, and it opens on his front porch here at the home where he now lives in Nogales, and it is him describing his story to the audience. The play, however, ultimately has 55 characters. We have 8 actors playing 55 characters. I only play Raul H. Castro in the play, and this is the opening of the play. One of my mottos in life has always been, I've never wanted to be popular. No. I wanted to be respected. Because when you're respected, you're part of the community. Now, my father was respected. Francisco Castro was of Basque and Mexican origin, 6 foot 2 inches tall, 240 pounds. Husky, not fat. He was a pearl diver from a fishing village just off the coast of Baja California, a place called San Jose del Cabo. Now, my mother was respected as well. Rosario Acosta was small, but tough, very tough. She lived in a village not far from where my father was born, a pueblito called Santa Rosalia. And they say that's where they fell in love. Now me, I was born in Cananea, Sonora, a place not too far from here, on June the 12th, 1916. It was during the days of the Mexican Revolution, and Pancho Villa, and Madero, and Zapata. My father had moved to Cananea because he heard that there was work in the mines. Cananea is a company town. Cananea Consolidated Copper Company is where my father worked. The pay was good, but the conditions were terrible. So, my father joined the union. Sindicato 65, Union number 65. And because he always spoke his mind, he soon became a leader. Now, the respect of his compañeros only earned him the company's disdain. Naturally, they labeled him a rabble-rouser and had him thrown in prison. My mother worried that he would be hanged. Back then, troublemakers were hanged all the time. But Francisco Castro was not hanged that day. Instead, my mother, by the sheer force of her spirit, managed to convince the authorities to release him by promising that we would leave not only Cananea, but our beloved Mexico también. And so that's what we did. We crossed the border at Naco in 1918. Now, I was only 2 at the time, so I don't remember much about that day. But as the story goes, here was this young couple with 11 children. And as we crossed, the immigration inspector told my father, "Castro family, you're in the United States of America now. The rest is up to you." He was right. That's the way we wanted it. That's what America was all about. Now, my father found work right away, working for Phelps Dodge. We lived in Puertoville. That was the Mexican town built by the smelter. In those days, Arizona was very young. I remember the day Governor George W.P. Hunt came to town. He was the state's first governor. The newspapers called him the Old Walrus because he was big and fat and bald, and he had thick glasses and a big bushy handlebar mustache. Now, the governor had come to town because he was celebrating the 4th of July. As soon as we all heard, the kids all hurried down to the 10th Street Park. Not because of him. We didn't know who the hell he was. It was because they were serving free hot dogs and soda pop. And to us, pobre Mexicanos that we were, all we ever got to eat was un poco de frijoles y arroz. To us, a hot dog was a delicacy. And Coca-Cola? Like champagne. Now, as soon as the governor arrived, me and the boys sat down on the edge of the stage, and the governor got going on his speech. In this, the great state of Arizona, well, ladies and gentlemen, any man can succeed. He only need have grit, will, and determination. Well, ladies and gentlemen, one day, even one of these barefooted Mexican boys could be our governor. He was looking at me. But knowing how politicians can be, I don't know if he meant what he said. But that's not the end of the story. Thank you very much.
So you're gonna go buy tickets, right? You'll be at the play tomorrow. The auditorium can house these people and more. I wanted to add that this play is being brought to us because of the efforts of Dr. Marcelino Varona Jr. He was asked, he took the bull by the horns, and also the sponsors that made it possible. And Marcy, thank you. Yes. Where's Debbie? Poor Debbie. But anyway. Yes, it's being brought actually because of the Santa Cruz County Attorney, George Silva, the Superintendent of Schools, Alfredo Velasquez, Wildcat Silver, Greg Lucero, the NUSD Administration, Fernando and Steve, and also the Nogales International newspaper. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been made this possible. There will be tickets at the door. I'm going to turn now the program over to our chair for the introductions of the inductees, Javier Barajas.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. A lot of you that are coming back to visit after some years, but it's always your home. It's a privilege to be here with you. And with that, we're going to start our induction ceremony. The inductees will be introduced by members of our committee, and I'll introduce the first one. Our first person who's going to induct is Dr. Marcelino Varona Jr.
This individual grew up in Nogales and attended Nogales Unified Schools before starting an industrial path that included a stint as State Superintendent of Public Instruction, among other prestigious honors. This native son of Nogales has appeared on numerous national and local television, radio, and print media news outlets. He is the founding partner of the Molera Alvarez Group, a government relations firm based in Phoenix, Arizona. In addition to his 2 years as State Superintendent of Public Instruction, he has held a variety of high-level state positions, including serving as a top advisor on policy and legislative affairs to Governor Nhs Hall, a good conservative. Governor Janet Napolitano appointed Jaime to the State Board of Education in 2007. He is currently the president of the board. He was recognized this year by the Business Journal as one of Arizona's most admired CEO. And in 2006, he was named one of the 50 most influential leaders in Arizona. Moreover, Hispanic Business Magazine honored him as one of the top 100 Hispanic leaders in the United States. It is a pleasure to induct into the Nogales High School Hall of Fame Jaime Alfredo Molera. We welcome him. Jaime is also one of my first students when I started as assistant principal, and he was a senior here at Nogales High School. He's the only one that we allowed to start Young Republicans on this campus. He was outnumbered by the Democrats, but we did let him have his Young Republican friends here. Sit down right there. You're gonna talk later.
And now to continue our ceremony, would you please welcome a member of the Nogales High School Hall of Fame Committee, Mr. Willie Wisdom.
They've got me up here, and this is the first time in a long time that I've been before anyone. But let me introduce Susie. She's our county recorder and a longtime friend, and her mother and their family. I'm going to read her obituary, if I can see it. Susie Saenz is a native Nogalian and attended Nogales Public Schools. She has been a public servant and political official in the community for the last 32 years. Mrs. Saenz studied liberal arts and political courses at Pima and Mesa Community Colleges and business management at the University of Phoenix. She began her public service career working with the Santa Cruz County Assessor's Office in 1980 and was elected Santa Cruz County Recorder in 1994. Susie, she is known to all, remains active in numerous civic organizations and serves on the board of Nogales Women's Club, Primera Alta Historical Society, Friends of the 1904 Courthouse Club of Unidos, and Arizona Association of Counties. Mrs. Saenz volunteer efforts continue to flourish in activities such as the Relay of Life, Match of Dimes, and the Catholic Daughters of America bookstore. In addition, she has served as a liaison for the Arizona Association of Counties and elected official for the past 18 years. You.
One of the main purposes that we do this banquet is that we provide scholarships to graduates of Nogales Unified School Districts. We have 2 high schools within our community, Pearson Vocational and Nogales High School. And we've asked some of the students to come back to share some of their educational endeavors so that you know where our money goes to. All of our money goes to scholarships, so you don't spend any money on anything else. So I'd like to bring up the first student who received the award his first year, and he's been applying for reoccurring financial aid from our organization, and he has received it every year. He is presently a junior at Arizona State University. Victor Mendoza.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Victor Mendoza. I am a junior health science major at Arizona State University. My first 2 years of undergraduate school were done at Mesa Community College, where I received my associate's degree in science. Maintaining high grades has always been my main priority. I attended MCC because I was offered a track scholarship for my excellent performance in track after just competing 1 year at the high school level. My main events were the 400 meters, the relay, and I was also a high jumper. There at MCC, I competed at the national level and broke several school records. I still have the urge to compete at the Division I level, but with school getting tougher, it has been hard for me to fit it into my schedule. I am very competitive, and I don't let anything get in my way from accomplishing my goals in life. And with this attitude, I will one day complete my dream of becoming a doctor. I thank the Nogales Hall of Fame for the help and support, because without their help, things could have gotten a lot tougher, especially financially at these times. I know that school will only get harder, but with the help and support from the people around me, I will accomplish my dreams and be someone in life. Thank you.
Continuing to our ceremony, please welcome our next presenter, former Nogales High School principal and a member of the Nogales High School Hall of Fame committee, Mr. Mark Valenzuela.
Welcome, good evening. I'm honored to read the next inductee's background. I'm not sure if I had him as a student, but I was a teacher in 1979, and I'm going back, I might have had him as a student. Gives me great pleasure to do this. Emilio G. Velasquez, currently the Chief Deputy Recorder for the Santa Cruz County, was born and raised in Nogales. He graduated from Nogales High School in 1979 before attending the University of Arizona. Great school. After working in the areas of operational management and public relations in California, Mr. Velasquez returned to Nogales in 2004, employed as a training and development supervisor for ICT Group. He joined the Santa Cruz County Recorder's Office in 2009. Mr. Velasquez has been described with words such as innovative and dedicated. His leadership and entrepreneurial abilities were honed by his career working with numerous psychiatric hospitals throughout the Western United States. He worked up the ranks, eventually becoming CEO of his own company, Coastal Neurobehavioral Research, opening research clinics throughout California. His many contributions to our community include sitting on the board of directors for United Village, chairing the Santa Cruz County Relay for Life team, and vice president of the board of directors of United Way Santa Cruz County. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Emilio G. Velasquez.
They're cousins, by the way. Kissing cousins. To continue with our presentation, please welcome a recent inductee into the Nogales High School Hall of Fame and an administrator at Nogales' Holy Cross Hospital, Mrs. Dina Sanchez.
Good evening. It is truly an honor to be before you today to introduce a fellow classmate, David Paredes. David Paredes is a 1989 graduate of Nogales High School and a 1993 graduate of the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Arizona State University. He is a multiple Emmy Award winner and nominee, receiving the Edward R. Murrow Award and the Peabody Award in 2012. He won these honors for producing an investigative series called Toxic Secrets, about a toxic burial site on the U.S. Army base, Camp Carroll in South Korea. He has also exposed other issues, as he did in a recent series called Child Labor, Young Hands Picking Our Food. After spending weeks penetrating the close-knit community of migrant workers, the investigation found children as young as 8 years of age working in the fields of North Carolina, all the way to California. Most recently, David's bilingual and bicultural upbringings helped him gain the trust of the families who shared their stories. David said his view of life through a viewfinder began at NHS, as he studied video production and as he was the cameraman for the basketball coach back in our days of Remolera. And as a side note, his mom and dad were always very worried, thinking what was going to become of their son, always carrying a camera at basketball games and around school. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Paredes, you should be proud. He is currently employed as an investigative producer for NBC News in San Francisco, and truly, it is an honor to be here tonight to introduce you to David Paredes.
Another one of the students that's here with us today from the University of Arizona is Paulina Nicole Chavez. Paulina, will you please come up here?
Good evening, my name is Paulina Chavez, and I'm currently attending the University of Arizona. I'm studying business and I plan to go into marketing in the future. And I want to just thank the Hall of Fame for giving me this scholarship because it's being put into good use. Thank you.
To continue our presentation, please welcome the Superintendent of Nogales Unified School District and a member of the Nogales High School Hall of Fame Committee, Mr. Steve Zimmerman.
Okay, Mark. We've been talking about my new glasses. I just got these, and they're those progressive glasses, like bifocals, and they're all built into one. And I got to tell you that I think I can see into the future with them, because it's so clear. I am honored this evening to do the introduction for Jose Martin Medina. Jose Martin Medina is a 1976 graduate of Nogales High School. Literally has worked his way up from the most humble of jobs to become the commercial sales manager for Robinson's True Value. During his years at NHS, he began working as a busboy and a bellman at Americana Hotel. He then continued his employment with Capen's Mercantile Corporation, where he was able to train and learn numerous skills that propelled him up the career ladder to become the regional supervisor for Factory to You. In his spare time, Mr. Medina volunteers his experience to local community and youth organizations for which he has received numerous awards, including one from the Arizona Governor's Office, Southeastern Arizona Behavioral Health Center, Santa Cruz County Weed and Seeds of Change, and the Santa Cruz County Metro Task Force. He has also served as a director of the Santa Cruz County Nogales Chamber of Commerce. Through his devotion to his family, job, and community, Mr. Medina serves as a role model for what can be accomplished through hard work and his continuous desire to achieve. Please welcome Jose Martin Medina. A 1976 grad, he looks so good.
And now please welcome the Vice President of the Nogales High School Hall of Fame and a former administrator for Nogales, Dr. Arnoldo Montiel.
Good evening. Certainly a pleasure to be up here to introduce the next gentleman, our new inductee into the Nogales High School Hall of Fame. Gregory F. Corey, a member of the NHS. My goodness. Well, Gregory F. Corey, a member of the NHS class of 1971, was very active at Nogales High School. He was involved in student government and becoming student body president for his senior year. In addition to his student government commitments, Mr. Corey lettered in golf and was a member of the National Honor Society. He went on to graduate from the University of Santa Clara in 1975 with a bachelor's degree of science in business administration. He joined the company of R.H. Macy and completed his management training program before returning to Nogales to join the family business. He eventually became a principal partner in the firm and said the family's retail stores of Corey's, La Cinderella and La Puerta, have always placed a high priority on being good employers, neighbors, and contributors to this community. Mr. Corey remarked that Nogales is a unique place with many who have done and are doing extraordinarily and accomplishing great feats. We never stop being Nogaleans, he says, no matter where we are. Representing Nogales is a personal privilege, and I feel very fortunate to be a Nogalean, he added. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Gregory Corey.
As part of our fundraiser here, Nogales High School ceramics classes, they make these vases for us that we like to auction off during this event. And one thing that Dr. Montiel forgot to mention is that Gregory Corey, we inducted his mother several years ago. And he's always helped us, Gregory. He's one of the kindest persons. Matter of fact, to this date, Gregory Corey, during the auction of these vases, he has been our highest bidder, and nobody's outbidded him so far. Nobody's been able to. He, for the vase, if I recall correctly, Greg, and a lot of you don't know that at Nogales High School, Greg Corey was the starting baseball catcher for Nogales High School baseball. And he could move around at that time. I don't know how well he moves around now, but he was known that behind the plate, nothing got by Greg Corey. And he's the only person on the bus when we traveled that went with textbooks to read and study. The only one that did that. So being the highest bidder for this, and maybe somebody would like to start, he bidded $500. Don Gregorio, are you good for a good vase this year? I know. Sold to Gregory Corey for $500. I knew the spirit was still in him, let me tell you. He's a good spirit. Now we have Clarissa Celaya attending Pima Community College. Clarissa?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Clarissa Celaya, and I'm currently at Pima Community College pursuing a career in biomedical engineering. I'm going to transfer to the U of A probably next year. That's my plan. And I really want to thank everybody for the money that they grant me in this scholarship because it really helped me a lot in the first 2 months, and I'll still have left over from the money. Thank you very much. It really made a difference.
We have this vase right here. It says NHS on it, another nice vase produced by the kids. And I was fortunate enough this past week that I was invited to Dr. Guevara's office for the opening of his new office building on Western, a beautiful office. I went into exam room and I was afraid to go any further because he tripled the rates. Well, there was something missing there where the patients wait. And I thought, well, maybe the vase would be perfect for his office. It's a brand new office. And Giancarlo was kind enough. He told me, don't worry, whatever you want, my dad will produce and all that. So thank you, Giancarlo. Dr. Guevara, this nice vase is worth $500 at a minimum. Sold to Dr. Guevara for $500. Come on up here, Dr. Guevara. Thank you, Giancarlo. Dr. Guevara says I should work for the IRS. Maybe another vase later on will be appropriate. Giancarlo, try and convince him.
To continue now, please help me welcome the Santa Cruz County Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Alfredo Velazquez.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, congratulations to all the inductees. I am truly honored to be introducing two very special ladies in my life. Each of one inspired me to be a great teacher. Each one of them inspired many students in our county to do a phenomenal job. It is an honor to be introducing our next inductee into the 2012 Nogales High School Hall of Fame, Ms. Renee Guevara. Her commitment and dedication to the teaching profession touched the lives of many students and gained her the respect of her colleagues. Renee, my friend, you inspired many of us to be successful and great teachers. Thank you. Renee Baffer Guevara graduated from Nogales High School in 1972 and received her Bachelor's of Arts in Elementary Education from the University of Arizona in 1976. She went on to earn a Master's in Bilingual Multicultural Education from Northern Arizona University. After starting her teaching career in Tucson, Mrs. Guevara moved back to Nogales and began teaching for NUSD as a homebound teacher for students who were unable to attend classes on campus. She went on to teach in a Title I reading program at Lourdes Catholic Schools, and then transferred back to the public school system as a Title I curriculum specialist. She said that her interest in working directly with students led her to a position at Francisco Vázquez de Coronado Elementary School and then Desert Shadows Middle School, where she was named Teacher of the Year in 2010. In addition, Mrs. Guevara has served as a member of the Board of Directors for Young Audiences, is part of the Holy Cross Hospital Auxiliary, and is currently a wish granter for Make-A-Wish of Southern Arizona. After a 35-year teaching career, she retired in 2011 and now serves as a school board president of Lourdes Catholic Schools. Mrs. Guevara, it's a great honor to induct you into the 2012 Nogales Hall of Fame. The other special lady in my life, and it is truly an honor to be presenting our next inductee into the 2012 Nogales Hall of Fame, Ms. Vanessa Rothstein. Her passion for teaching and making a difference in a student's life has been greatly admired by many in the community. Vanessa, my friend, tonight we honor your accomplishments. I personally want to thank you for being instrumental in the success of the Hippie program and Primaria Alta Academy. Ms. Rothstein, a Nogales native and a 1971 Nogales High School graduate, has been a tireless advocate for children since 1984. Mrs. Rothstein began teaching as a second career after becoming a parent. She went back to school where her youngest child started kindergarten and has not stopped since then. She earned a dual Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary education, K-8, and special education, K-12, from Prescott College, and received her master's in bilingual and multicultural education from Northern Arizona University, and her administrative certificate through the University of Phoenix. Ever active in the community, Vanessa is a board member of Young Audiences of Santa Cruz County and works with a very special arts program. She is also a board member of the Arizona State PERC Board, Child and Family Resource Board, and the William I. Rothstein Memorial Scholarship Board. Mrs. Rothstein was named Teacher of the Year for Francisco Vázquez de Coronado for the 1998-99 school year, and she also was garnered the Walmart Teacher of the Year award during that time. During 2005-2006 school year, she was once again selected Teacher of the Year, this time for Robert Bracker Elementary School. She is currently the principal of Sacred Heart Catholic School. It is with great honor that I introduce Ms. Vanessa Rothstein into the 2012 Nogales High School Hall of Fame.
And now we have a student who is attending the University of Arizona, Jorge P. Gonzalez, and he's also a recent Eagle Scout for the Boy Scouts of America.
Hello, my name is Jorge P. Gonzalez, and I'd like to begin by saying that I'm very thankful, and I'd like to thank the community and all those who are here today in this event. I'd like to give special thanks to the Nogales Hall of Fame for making this possible. The scholarships, they're very needed, especially by students like me. They told me to keep this short, so I'm gonna say that I am a student majoring in cellular and molecular biology. I want to pursue a medical career, and I'm currently a freshman at the University of Arizona. Thank you, and go Wildcats.
Also, that we were talking about Ms. Rothstein and that, and I would like to take the time to introduce two people that are individuals that are very special to us here, that are here from the school, that are here to honor, and we'd like to recognize Sister Barbara and Sister Esther. Would you please both stand up? And we're very glad that you are here to attend and help in our event here. Thank you very much for being here. Now I have a little vase here. Again, it says NHS. I see a lot of people turning around. Why are you turning around? This is the front row here. Giancarlo helped me a lot. He's a Nogales High School graduate. Matt Corey, I need you to help me with your dad over there because he gets kind of tight with things like this. It's a smaller vase, $250. He put he put the twins through here and two students, and he also has one of the first student, Gabriel, is a successful attorney at law. So I think that for high school students here, $250 for this, Mr. Corey, I don't see. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sold to Raymond Corey for $250. Come on up over here. Oh, you wanted a 1,000? No, let's not get carried away here now. Don't get carried away here now. No. But he didn't say the amount. He is not the auctioneer. I'm the auctioneer. Dr. Guevara, I know you did your residency at the U of A and you want, but my attorney is here too. George, stand up and defend me. George? Well, what we're gonna do, because Raymond's the first one who put me on the spot here, is we're gonna give it to him for $250 and consider it. Okay, we'll do it, $1,000. I'm on a roll here. Oh, is that your? This one here has the color that I see every night when I listen to Bill O'Reilly. I like to listen to Bill O'Reilly and Rush Limbaugh. And there's only one person in this group that listens to him, along with me. Micah? Oh, sold, okay. How much do I sell it for? Oh, whatever. Raymond, how much do we sell it to our conservative friend over here, Jaime Molera? $5. He's good for $5, we'll take him for $5. Sold!
I have to take my glasses off to read. I'm very proud to do the next nominee. A personal friend of mine for many, many, many years. We go back when we were kids. And I was very happy to volunteer to do the induction for this gentleman. Alvaro Mo Felix. He calls himself a proud graduate of Nogales High School, class of 1964. He earned a degree in business language from Arizona State University, where he was a varsity cheerleader and an active in the Mecha organization. After graduating from ASU, Mr. Felix was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. Following his enlistment, he returned to ASU, where he worked as an assistant educational opportunity program director and later as foreign student advisor. After receiving a master's degree in counseling, Mr. Felix moved to Texas, where he worked in a variety of positions in nursing and mental health clinics. He later moved to California, where he began a teaching career in San Diego, retiring as a counselor at the University High School, one of the top schools in the state. During his tenure as an educator, he coached football, track, and field. He also earned numerous awards for his work with students and for critical response teams. Currently, Mr. Felix resides in San Diego, California. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you our next inductee, Mr. Alvaro Mor Felix.
And now for our next induction, please welcome the Assistant Superintendent of Nogales Unified School District, Mr. Fernando Parra.
Buenas noches y gracias a todos. Felicidades a todos ustedes esta noche. Muchas felicidades. I think they deserve a round of applause. Before I introduce our next honoree, Mr. Corey, thank you very much. That's the first time I have ever seen Dr. Varona speechless. First time, ever. Carla, make sure you collect that check, please. Make sure he turns that in. It is an honor to present to you George Silva, a proud graduate of Nogales High School. He was active in soccer, lettering, and sports as a freshman and was also a member of the National Honor Society, King Kiwani Ski Club. Upon his graduation from Nogales High School in 1989, he attended Arizona State University, obtaining a Bachelor of Science degree in 1994. He then enrolled in the University of Arizona College of Law and obtained his Juris Doctorate in Law in 1997. Mr. Silva is currently the Santa Cruz County attorney elected in 2004, As county attorney, he prosecutes all federally and juvenile offenses which occur in the county and all misdemeanor offenses which occur in the unincorporated areas. Moreover, he provides legal advice to the County Board of Supervisors and all the county departments. In addition, he represents school districts and fire districts within the county. As a drug prosecutor, he worked on the Operation Apache. Operation Apache consisted of infiltrating the Nogales High School with an undercover police officer pretending to be a student. The undercover officer was able to identify key drug dealers in the school, which resulted in successful prosecutions. Back then, I was assistant principal in charge of discipline at the school, and that's the first time that I was able to meet Mr. Silva, and from that time until now, he has continued to represent our community, but not only our community as a whole, but our students, and has provided many, many resources to the district. Mr. Silva is an advocate for our youth and very active in his community with his You Have the Power campaign, which empowers our youth and teachers and teaches them that only they have the power to make good, healthy choices in life. I have worked for the district now for a little over 20 years. I have never seen an individual who has left Nogales and has come back to Nogales, and in his position has given so much to our school district, to our students, not only in resources and finances and with funding, but himself as a person to be able to engage with our students and personally come to our schools and address our students about making a difference and doing what is right. It is my honor to introduce to you Mr. George Silva.
The Santa Cruz County Attorney didn't defend me. Now he wants to prosecute me. Next thing, he's gonna have Lieutenant Rodriguez arrest me after this thing is over. So he's gotta go half and half with me. Half and half, the county attorney's gotta, in front of the public, he's not defending me. So $500 sold to the county attorney. Well, I went over to the side over there. The president of the Hall of Fame was laughing at me and saying, "So they finally shut you down, huh?" I said, "Okay, I think she's worth, for being president, $250. Sold to Alexa Ramirez for $250. Even if Hector's retired, it doesn't make a difference. I also want to announce last year we inducted George Gotzis into the Hall of Fame. And he called me up a couple of days ago and he said he wanted to help out in any way that he could help out. And he was coming today so we could make a formal presentation. George Gotzis is the owner of Omega Produce. And, well, he was inducted 2 years ago. And I asked him if he was going to be here, and he said he couldn't make it simply because his wife hasn't been feeling very well. But I do want to recognize George Gotzis. He donated $2,000 a year for the next 3 years for a total of $6,000 to the Nogales High School Hall of Fame. I'll be back. I got 4 vases to go.
Actually, you're next. To make our final induction this evening, please welcome once again Dr. Marcelino Varona Jr. I'm sorry, we're going to have a change. Ms. Kathy Scott will make this presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am not a doctor, so I don't have to buy a vase, so that's good. Okay. It gives me very great pleasure to be able to read the first part of Colonel Anderson's introduction. Colonel Robert D. Anderson headed the Air Force Junior ROTC program at NHS starting in 1997 after he received a calling to become an educator to help prepare the next generation for future leadership roles. His recent death was a major blow to all who knew and respected his many positive attributes. Teaching at NHS was one of the most positive experiences I ever had, Colonel Anderson said. Given the sterling career he had in the service and his impressive academic achievements, that is a powerful comment. He earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Arizona, go Wildcats, and was commissioned into the Air Force upon graduation. For the next 26 years, he served in a variety of intelligence positions, including Vietnam, the Pentagon, the Brookings Institute, and commanding the 67th Intelligence Wing. He also earned a master's degree in international relations from Creighton University. During his tenure at NHS, Colonel Anderson received numerous accolades, including Teacher of the Year in 2002 and the Jackie Scott Ambassador of Excellence Award that same year. He was also honored with the Arizona Department of Education Foundation's Ambassador for Excellence Award and the Arizona Department of Education Star of Arizona Award. Despite his retirement, Colonel Anderson had remained active right up to before he passed away, working with aerospace education activities throughout southern Arizona and with the Santa Cruz County Composite Squadron of Civil Air Patrol. It was my great pleasure very recently with Fernando Pada and Dr. Verona to attend the memorial service for Colonel Anderson in Tucson. Individual after individual came up, from family members to fellow servicemen to people who had worked with Colonel Anderson, and praised not only his intelligence and his dedication, but his integrity, no matter what he was doing, and the way that he has served this country well and has prepared students to serve this country well for decades to come. I believe Dr. Verona would like to say a few words before we invite up Ruth, his wife, to accept the plaque in his honor. Dr. Verona? He's going to go up first. Okay. Mrs. Anderson?
Thank you for acknowledging the good work that Colonel Anderson did for our campus. Just a quick story that I shared during the memorial. Down at Desert View High School, there was a young ROTC instructor, and unfortunately he passed away while he was playing an athletic event. And during that time, Mrs. Copley and I were discussing that Colonel Anderson would probably be leaving our campus because he was highly recruited by the Sunnyside Unified School District. So finally, I was getting ready to call the Air Force Commandant, who is responsible for all the junior ROTC programs in the country. And I asked him, before I was getting ready to call him, I told Mrs. Copley, I'm gonna go down there and talk to Colonel Anderson to see if he's going to leave us. So I went down here to the building and I asked him if he was going to leave us. And I told him it was okay. I understood that he would rather work in Tucson than to have to travel 130 miles round trip every day, which is about a 2-3 hour trip away from Ruth, where he could share time with Ruth and the family at home instead of having to be on the road. And he got up and he looked at me during that time, and he said, I would not trade these students for any student in the world. I'm staying. I'm not going anyplace. He was the first person on campus at 6 in the morning and the last person to leave this campus. And if you asked him to be here on Saturday, he was here on Saturday. And it just goes to show you, from a person with such a wide variety of military experiences, even all the way up to the Pentagon, that he decided to stay to be with students of Nogales High School. And for that, we thank you very much for your love. Now let's wait for them.
Before she goes back to sit down, I want to, on behalf of the Nogales High School Hall of Fame Committee, want to thank Kathy Scott, who is the grants director for our district. She's the one that puts together the bios of all the inductees this evening, so thank you very much, Kathy. And we thank you because the money raised in this raffle also goes for scholarships for our students, and you saw some of them today. Before we continue, please welcome the president of the Nogales High School Hall of Fame, Mrs. Alexa Ramirez.
You've heard from the students that were gracious enough to be here and spending their time with us. I also want to add that one of our other students could not be here, that she was awarded the annual Ann Henardini Solely Scholarship. Ann is an inductee, as she's a member of the Hall of Fame. And actually, she is, it's Dr. Ann Henardini. She has made a life commitment of a $1,000 scholarship and given to the Hall of Fame. This year, Saida Barajas was awarded that scholarship. Now, Ann did have a restriction on her, and you may do so. You may give whatever you would like, and lifetime, or put us in your will, or anything you want. She requires that the student be seeking a degree in education and must graduate with a 3.25 GPA at the time she leaves the high school, or higher. And Saida is the winner of that scholarship. And unfortunately, she's a little ill, and she's not here today. So I wanted to add that. I want to recognize, I believe Francis Henardini, her brother, is here, and I wanted to recognize him, and we thank Ann for that. I'll turn this right over to Mr. Barajas. Congratulations, everybody.
And thank you very much, Dr. Henardini. She's the president of the University from Phoenix College, and we appreciate her donation. Now it's going to be time for us to hear from our inductees this evening. I'm going to ask each one of them to come up and say a few words. I will remind them that there's a standing room that says, please limit your speech to 2 to 3 minutes. If you go over, you will be a vase auction recipient starting at $250. It's right here to remind them. But anyway, it's a pleasure to welcome them here and to give them an opportunity to say a few words to you. So starting off, we're going to start with Mr. Jaime Alfredo Modera.
Thank you. Good evening. I just want to say thank you very much to the Hall of Fame Committee for giving me this recognition. It's something that I'm very humbled by, because when I look at the people behind me and I look at the former inductees, it's something that really could let my ego get out of hand. But something that I've learned a long time ago is that I feel like when I get these kinds of recognitions, it wasn't because of what I did. It's because when I was born here in Nogales, I inherited a fortune. I inherited a fortune because I was born here in Nogales, where you had a community that was so proud and so willing to help each other out. I inherited a fortune because I went to a school system with Lincoln, Wade Carpenter, and Nogales High School, where I had teachers that were so dedicated and believed and taught me that anything I could put my mind to and achieve, it was possible. I inherited a fortune because I had a family that was helpful when times got tough, and unfortunately we had a lot of tough times. Our family was always there to help us and to pick us up. And quite frankly, the main reason I inherited a fortune is because I was blessed by having a mother by the name of Irene Molera. And Mom, I know for a fact that you are the first two-time recipient of this Hall of Fame award, because certainly it's nothing that I did. It's everything that you did for me and my four brothers. Thank you, Mom. I love you.
Miss Susie Sainz.
Good evening, everyone. I wrote a 10-minute speech. No, I'm just kidding, Marcy. No, good evening. I am very happy and honored to be inducted to the Nhs Hall of Fame, the Nogales High School of Fame. I'd like to give thanks to my cousin Alfredo Velasquez for nominating me, as well as the Nogales High School of Fame committee for selecting me. This committee works very hard every year to raise money so that a Nogales High School graduate can receive scholarships in order for them to further their education. We appreciate your efforts and commitment to this valued service for our youth. Congratulations. I'd like to thank my mother, Mary Lou Sainz. Mom, you've been an inspiration and great influence. I'm sorry. To my sisters, Denise and Elby, for the way you brought us up and all the volunteering you have done in the service organizations. I love you, Mom. I want to say, too, I love my childhood I had growing up here in Nogales. What I remember most of growing up here was how we all knew each other, the family we came from, and how everyone would keep an eye on us and made sure we were safe. After living in the Phoenix area for 5 years, I was happy to return to Nogales with my son, Maurice Jackson, because I wanted him to have the same upbringing and the feeling of a safe community. I love my county, the people, and our culture. After seeing how all of you work for the community, you have an influence in my life and an inspiration to give and serve the community. I thank you all again and give thanks to God. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Emilio Velasquez.
Mine's 20 minutes, Marcy. I am very proud and honored to be inducted into the Nogales Hall of Fame. I want to extend my gratitude to the Hall of Fame committee and to my friend Jennifer St. John for nominating and acknowledging my accomplishments. I would also like to congratulate all fellow inductees. The wonderful and fun school years at Nogales High and junior high school were ones that led me into the path of leadership, collaborations, and empowering of self-confidence. Elected president in the 7th grade was only the beginning of years that followed as president of Wade Carpenter Junior High School, freshman class president, sophomore class president, and junior class president. Those years in office allowed me to lead my classmates into many different activities and competitive events, such as government education, school clubs, prep rallies, homecoming competition, and assemblies. It was all a prelude to what would take place after graduation. In the early 80s, arriving to California, I was very fortunate to have crossed paths with one of my many mentors that took me from being a receptionist at a huge medical corporation, and transforming me into a corporate figure. It was a revolutionary period for psychiatric and medicinal treatment for mental health disorders, and this man truly believed in the innate ability I had to connect with people. In the years to follow, I was to elevate in the ranks in the company and was successful in integrating low-cost clinics to individuals for more affordable psychiatric services. The knowledge, experience, and networking established in those years led me to my next new venture in pharmaceutical clinical research, where a renowned psychiatrist took me under his wing and educated me on everything from opening and operating clinical research centers to networking, business development, contracting with pharmaceutical companies, and interfacing with the newly introduced managed care system, truly becoming a rainmaker. Like the previous company, I worked up the ranks, ultimately becoming vice president of the company. Determined to put my entrepreneurial and operational skills to work, I eventually launched and became chief executive officer of my own research clinics in Northern and Southern California. I returned to Nogales in 2004 and continued my pharmaceutical work with ICT Group in the development and supervisor training for a program that offered medications at low cost or for free to senior citizens. I have been with the Santa Cruz County Recorders as Chief Deputy for the last 3 years and have been giving back to the community as board member and chairman of various organizations like Young Audiences, American Cancer Society's Relay for Life, the United Way, and the United Village. It has been quite an incredible journey, and I'm thankful to all the mentors who have made such a big difference in my life and who have believed in me. That including my precious parents, my deceased brother Humberto, and my current mentor and exemplary brother, Alfredo, who not only serves as a role model for me, but as my best friend. Thank you.
The official time is 3 minutes and 1 second. Sold for $250.
He was going, come on, keep going, keep going. Please welcome Mr. David Paredes.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody in the Hall of Fame committee for inducting me, from the very first person that thought of just nominating me to the very last person that voted for the induction. Thank you. And also, it's an honor to be associated with so many others. This is really great. I never imagined this. My name next to everybody else's here. It's great. I'd like to take the time to thank, there's so many people here right now that, friends, family, faces I haven't seen in so long. I don't really have the time to thank every single one of you, but I'm going to do my best. I'd like to start with my mom and my dad, who taught me a very valuable tool, which as an investigative journalist, let's just say I've been able to use it. And what they taught me, one of the things they taught me was that very simply, put myself in a position where I can make a decision that will benefit me and will advance what I'm doing at that moment. Time and time again, as I was growing up, my parents would tell me, what the hell were you doing in the first place? Now, they may have been scolding me at that time, but they don't realize how valuable a tool that was in my life, among the many other things. So, Mom and Dad, thank you. My brother's here also with his family, and from his family, my brother Rudy, him and his family have never said anything other than encouragement. And for that, I say thanks. And my wife, who when I'm doing 14, 15, 16-hour days doing God knows what and God knows where, I'm able to do pretty much what I've accomplished because she's at home, keeping the glue of the family all stuck together, and thank you. I would like to say 3 things that I've noticed as I've traveled around the world, and as you guys know, it was mentioned that my career pretty much started right in that top row up there. And that is that it doesn't matter where I go, I run into an Nogalian. It actually is pretty amazing. The second thing that happens is that there's a game that I like to call 2 degrees to Nogales. In other words, who do you know that I also know? And this is it's very important because once we can find that common bond, it's the third thing, and that is we can share a story. And that's what I do for a living. I tell stories. That is embedded in our community. We tell stories by the fireplace, by the dinner table, at the bar, in the patio. It's ingrained in this community. It's who we are. And that I learned from all of you. And for that, I say thank you. Thanks.
I went over to see Rudy and Aida, and Aida came over to me, and she was so proud of showing the Emmys. You know, I've seen the Emmys on TV. I've never seen an Emmy Award. And there's 3 Emmys right there on the shelf. And your father and mom came to explain to me the story and how proud they are. They wouldn't let me touch it, but they kept talking about it. And I could tell in your mom's face, who was my daughter's and my son's teacher, how proud she was of you. And it's worth a $250 vase, so they can put it right next to the Emmys. So right next to the Emmys is going to be the vase. Sold to David Paredes for $250. It'll be right next to the Emmys, and when I go there, you'll show it to me, Aida.
I think there's still 2 left, so be careful. Next, please welcome Martin Medina.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Martin Medina. First of all, I want to thank this great board that puts this together, and I was very honored when I was asked to be here tonight. Everybody told me, do you have a speech for tonight? And I said, no, you know, for somebody that has never left Nogales, raised and born, graduated, stay here, put my kids through college, school, says, no, I don't have nothing to say, but the only thing I can say is thank all of you. At one point or another, I met all of you. I want to thank the community for supporting me in the type of business that I do. Have a lot of mentors. I talk to a lot of people coach me. Every time I do a sale, they are out there to help me. I never met somebody that wouldn't listen to what I have to say or any questions that I had. But I really want to thank all of you, my family, my daughter, my granddaughter, for being part of me tonight. And also thank all of you for being here and letting me be part of your lives. Thank you.
He already has a vase, so he doesn't have to worry about it, but please welcome Mr. Greg Corey.
Good evening. What a beautiful night this is. And it's a great, I'm humbled and honored to be in such a distinguished group. I have always been a very lucky individual. And a lot of what my colleagues here, my inductees, have said, I wanted to say, but they've already said it, and I ditto what they say. I would like to just take a moment to mention to you that in the program, my parents' picture is there in an advertisement for our business. This is my favorite picture of my parents when they got married. They were in Coconut Grove in Los Angeles at a restaurant there. And I'm very proud of them. They taught us, my family, all that we know and how we stand and how we hold our heads. And this evening I'd like to thank my family and my friends, and I'd like to thank all of you for being here to support this good project. This is a support of Nogales, and Nogales is a great place. We get a lot of bad press these days, but we who live in Nogales, we know it's a great place and we love it. So at this moment, I would just like to say, I'd like to ask my wife, Sandra, to stand up. Please. She does a lot for the community as well. And I'd like my daughter, Evelia Alejandra, to stand up as well. She flew out here from Atlanta, Georgia, where she's now living. And I would just close in saying thank you to the board and the committee for your hard work and your help to all the students of Nogales. Nogales is a great place, and you do find Nogalians all over the world. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Mrs. Renee Guevara.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I feel really old because I taught David how to swim and his brother. I'd like to thank the Nogales High School Hall of Fame Committee for all your hard work in organizing this wonderful event. I would also like to congratulate my fellow honorees. What a privilege it is to be in such good company. The legacy of Nogales High alumni continues in earnest, as is evidenced by the presence of all of you here tonight in support of such an important fundraiser. As an educator here for a long, long time, I can attest to the importance of providing exceptional students with the means to pursue their educational dreams with scholarships the Hall of Fame provides. I have seen firsthand how a scholarship can change a student's life. As a newly inducted member of the Nhs Hall of Fame, I look forward to continuing to support in the educational pursuits of Nogales' finest students. That is what our community is all about. I can't leave this podium without thanking those that are important to me, including my husband, Che, who has been at my side for 30 years. My children, Marisa and Giancarlo, who came from California to be with me tonight. My oldest son, Christian, lives in Brazil, so it was a little tough for him to get here. I'd also like to thank my friends, my sister Melissa, who also graduated from Nhs, and for those of you that remember long ago, you remember her great basketball skills. Last but not least, I thank my mother, Delia Baffert, who graduated from Nhs during the war years. Mom, I won't say the year, don't worry. It was she and my late father, Pierre Baffert, who instilled in us the importance of always giving back to the community, and that's what made us who we are today. Thank you, and also thank you, Alfredo Velasquez, for nominating me. Love you, my dear spinning partner.
And now we will hear from Ms. Vanessa Rothstein.
Good evening. I want to thank, first of all, Mr. Velasquez, my friend and mentor, who nominated me and the board for accepting that nomination. I want to thank my family on whose shoulders I accept this award, this nomination, because it's so important to be nominated for something that I do as a labor of love. Education and educating our children is the foremost thing that all of us should think of. I see so many of my mentors out here. Mrs. Kripe, the missing mentors for me are Annette Barber and Dr. Lucina Romero, who really impacted my life, along with Alfredo and Dr. Varona. I was here a few years ago when they inducted my husband into the Hall of Fame. It was really difficult. He had just passed away, and without his love and support, I probably would never have been where I am today. I thank my sister, Valerie, my sisters who are not my sisters, but Patty and Nikki, Locha, Gary, and my new sisters at Sacred Heart School. Thank you very much.
Now please welcome Mr. Mo Felix.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Board of Directors and its members, fellow inductees, friends, my brothers, Manuel and Ramon, my family members, Victoria, my lovely wife, I feel honored and very humbled as I stand before you being inducted in the Nogales High School Hall of Fame. Seems like yesterday that I roamed the halls of Nogales High School, yet as they say, time flies. When I was a student at Nogales High School, I had no idea what I was going to do when I graduated from high school. I thought mainly about girls, having fun with my friends, playing sports, and thought about what summer job I was going to have. I do remember Mom saying, and echoed by Dad, you need an education. Think about college. College was always secretly in my thoughts, but also college equaled funds, and I know we didn't have that. My senior year, Dad had me meet with his friend and boss, John Elias, who was the owner of General Motors dealership here. He made me aware of an office called Financial Office, which exists in all colleges and universities. He informed me about grants, scholarships, loans, and enlightened me of what I had to do to fund my education if I truly chose that path. At Nogales High School, there was, as there are in every school, some teachers that play a very important role in the life decisions we make upon high school. For me, it was no difference. Mr. Wade Carpenter, our principal, was a kind, helpful, and honorable man that was always approachable. He always seemed to see the best in people, even if we at times did not appreciate him. From him, I learned that we were all equal, and we are equal. Mrs. Derrick, my 10th and 11th grade English teacher, oh boy, she was tough. I struggled in her class. She was all business and hard work. Though I knew that under her stern and strictness, she cared for every one of her students. She made you feel good about your achievements and your hard work. She taught me that by working hard, never giving up, the rewards would follow. Then there was Viejo, James Kincannon, my football coach. Viejo was not only a coach, friend, competitor, but he was also a disciplinarian when he needed to be. He was also an equal opportunity teacher. Lost a few milkshake bets from him. Viejo loved to bet milkshakes from us, and that way he taught us a lesson. I only lost one per lesson though, which was good. I do remember one of my losses. Joe and Simon Escalada and myself were in the weight room fooling around, lifting weights. Viejo came in, he saw us and said to us, I bet you boys that this old man is stronger than you think he is. I'll tell you what, I'll bet you a milkshake each that I can lift this 75-pound barbell with one hand only. We looked at each other, we looked at Viejo, we took the bait, and we lost. Anyway, he said, never judge a book by its cover, never underestimate your opponent. Pete Draculich, teacher, basketball, track and field coach. Pete, as everyone called him then. Well, I was like Viejo, competitor, friend, disciplinarian, and equal opportunity teacher. We feared having to be swatted by Pete, though. He had a fierce wind-up. Pete, I remember, for his chew tobacco and his makeshift spittoon made out of the tubes that tapes came in. Most important, I remember my senior year when we went to a state track meet in Phoenix. I lost my low hurdle event, but I gained clarity to what I wanted to do after graduation and where I wanted to go. Pete helped me gain that clarity, and I needed it at that time. He took us all to his alma mater, Arizona State University, Sun Devils, where he played college basketball. I immediately felt a sense of belonging there. I shared with Pete my dreams and aspirations about going to college. He said, if you're serious about your education, this is the school to come. He added, you need to go as far away from Nogales in miles as possible, not because Nogales is not good for you, because it's great, but you need to gain your independence. Think about it, he said. You won't be able to come home to mom and dad every weekend. You will learn to make critical decisions and take on responsibility on your own that will help you for a lifetime. What he said at the time to me was right. A little over 4 years after I graduated as an undergraduate from Arizona State University, the same thing was echoed about mom, dad, critical thinking, decisions, and responsibility by my sergeant instructor at Quantico at Officer Candidate School. The rest is history. Tonight I stand here before you a few years later and give you thanks to Nogales High School and to you for this honor that you bestowed upon me. Semper Fidelis, thank you.
Oh, is this yours? Mo, I lost track after 10 minutes. Sold for $250 for Mo.
Please welcome our next inductee, Mr. George Silva.
You know, it's really hard to keep it at 2 or 3 minutes, no, especially for somebody like me that likes the mic. I did want to tell Raul and Mario there to check with Mr. Zimmerman for those cool shades that he has. I'm sure they'll come in useful. You know, my son is looking at me, my youngest, and he has to be bowling right now, so he's looking at me like, come on, Dad, hurry up. I want to thank, obviously, the Hall of Fame, Alfredo, for the nomination. I know that we exchanged some words when he came to me. He said, I have news for you. And I said, ¿Ahora qué quieres? Or something like that. And it was good news. So thank you for that. And thanks for accepting the nomination. Thank my wife, my kids, my sisters, my family, friends that are here as well. My oldest son today, when we were sitting at home getting ready for football games, he challenged me, and I don't think that he realizes it, but he helped me with my speech. I said, what am I going to say today? And I mentioned what I was going to say, and he says, Dad, you're not going to say that. You'd never say that. So here it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I want to say thank you 3 times to you too right now. I do have one point that I do want to share, because these 2 individuals help Pearson Vocational School. I also sit on the board of the Santa Cruz County Provisional Community College District. And every year, in order to help the Hispanic students there, the consul, Jaime Pais Puente. Consul, will you please stand up? And also, George Silva, through the county attorneys, stand up. And through the county attorney's office, they each contribute through the Mexican Council and the Santa Cruz County, $10,000 apiece, $20,000 that goes into the Cochise College Foundation, which we contract with to provide services. And these 2 individuals help high school students while they are in high school to take community college credit courses paid by these 2 individuals to give them a head start to go to the university. Consul, gracias. George, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And now it's a pleasure to ask to come up to the front to say a few words, Mrs. Ruth Anderson.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here tonight to receive this Hall of Fame award from my husband, Bob. It pleases me greatly that he knew of his selection before he passed. Bob was a modest man, so I knew how special this award was when he turned to me and said, "Ruth, this is a big deal." He would want you to know that this meant very much to him and that he was most honored to be chosen. I have two of his fine cadets here tonight. They have given.
How about a nice round of applause for all our inductees for the class of 2012 Hall of Fame. And now to close our program, please welcome the president of the Nogales High School Hall of Fame, Mrs. Alexa Ramirez.
You may sit. Congratulations again, everybody. Okay, in closing, we're still thanking people. Sandra Alcantar and Bernadette, what would we do without you? The support staff from NUSD, the support staff from Nogales High School, Mr. Armenta, 2TV, and NUSD 2TV. If you would stand, please, now for the benediction.
As we close tonight's festivities, join me as we pray. Heavenly Father, may this event inspire all of us to acknowledge that our lives is a gift from you. Help us to use our lives in such a way to bring honor and glory to you, Heavenly Father, and to our community. And when all is said and done here tonight, may it be acceptable in your eyes. And all of God's people said, amen.
Thank you, Javier, for handling all that. Thank you. As Marcy would say, don't forget to buckle up and have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow at the play. Anything else?
Hold on, there's one more vase.
Oh, there's one more vase. Nobody's left. I want to share something with you. The Hall of Fame, Pete Drackledge started this a long, long time ago. It was all ASU alum that was with that, and they would gather a little bit of money to give an annual scholarship. And about 10 years ago, it was dying a slow death, and then poor Pete, becoming older and whatnot, and everybody was fizzling out on that. Dr. Marcelino Varona Jr. took that over, and here we are to where we are now. What happened?
On this last vase, I didn't realize it was here, but I do want to. Oh, she wants a vase? Oh, okay. How much you want to pay for it? $250. What's your name? Nikki Powers. I've never had a volunteer like you there before. Sold to Nikki Power for $250.
Thank you, Nikki. If you ask, you shall receive. I want to say that a personal donation is being made by James Garcia of $250 tonight.